I had no expectation going into Challengers other than the fact that I knew it was this romantic tennis drama starring Zendaya, and it was directed by Luca Guadagnino, a person whose films I've never seen before, didn't avoid them specifically. I just hadn't got around to seeing any of them. Wasn't expecting much. Definitely wasn't expecting this Social Network meets Whiplash.
You wish you never ever met her at all.
I think the reason why this movie is so damn good is because there's a magnetic energy to how the movie was put together that you don't see a lot anymore. It really goes out of its way to hit all your senses. The sense of, touch, taste, feel, everything. It's kind of an ASMR experience. I know I sound crazy by saying that, but that's kind of what I felt the whole time. There were just certain shots, someone eating a churro, for example. Not to get sexual, and I know that's what people are thinking about this movie. It's actually not as explicit as one might think in terms of how it's marketed and how some people are leaving like, whew, the hottest movie since 50 Shades. It's definitely not even close to that. Obviously, there is stuff like that in there, but someone eating a churro or someone, hitting a tennis ball with a tennis racket had such a visceral impact on how I was taking it in that at a certain point, you kind of have to lock back into what's happening story-wise, because the way the story is told is not a conventional way. Now, this isn't a spoiler for the film, but it isn't marketed this way, so if you don't want to know the way in which the story is told, get out of here, come back after you've seen the movie. But it's definitely non-linear. It starts at the end. It goes back 13 years, a few weeks, a few months. You kind of have to lock in and go, okay, they're going to move me around this whole movie, and I have to follow the timeline pretty dang well to understand the characters' motivations. And when you make a movie like that, it's a tricky thing to do because you are seeing something that you don't yet know the significance or the weight of play out. And it takes around an hour and a half for you to fully get the picture painted for you. And by then, the filmmaker and the writers and the actors better hope that they did their job in laying the groundwork for you to care about what's happening in the third act. Because the first hour 20 of this movie, around the first two acts, I was really enjoying it, but I wasn't sure if it was gripping me like it was gripping everybody else that had seen it. And then you see a couple scenes play out in the past, far in the past and not so far in the past. And it kind of hammers home exactly what you're watching. And I think what's interesting about how Luca and how the writer decided to tell the story and how he filmed the story, right? And look, this is gonna make you wanna puke. It's gonna make me wanna puke saying it. It just has to be said because it is what it is. The movie kind of plays out like a tennis match. I'm sorry, my brother's at the cleaner. No, I'm sorry that I just said the thing that everybody wants to say, but it's true. It literally hits you this way, hits you that way. All of a sudden, the ball pops up in the air off of somebody's racket. Is it gonna go in? Is it gonna go out? And then this big moment happens, and then you do it again for the next set. It is unreal how they took a pretty basic premise of two guys going for the same girl. We're able to infuse that into a sport. It is a sports movie, no doubt about it. I had Moneyball energy too. It had a lot of Social Network, Whiplash, Moneyball. There's a lot in there that's gonna be pretty cool for the hardcore sports fan like myself. So I was happy going into it that they kind of hid the fact that it was a sports movie. You see how some people are hiding the fact that movies are musicals? This one definitely hid the fact that it was a sports movie, and I appreciate that, although it's more than that, clearly. It's a tennis match within the movie, within these characters, and I know that's the worst thing ever that somebody could say about a movie about tennis, but it is true. Punny or not, it is true. And the use of the score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, those two beautiful bastards with their synths and their strings, just social networking it up to the 10th degree. The score was a bit much for me. I loved hearing it, and I loved hearing Trent and Atticus do their thing. It did come in a lot of times out of complete nowhere, and I was like, whoa. I was in the scene, and now I'm not really in it, but the music's awesome, and the performances, Josh O'Connor, Mike Feist, Zendaya, all great. I feel like this is the first movie I watched Zendaya in. that I didn't see Zendaya. I saw Tashi, the character that she was playing. And Mike, and listen, Josh O'Connor is great. I don't really know anything about him other than this movie. Mike Feist from West Side Story to this movie, that guy's a dog. That guy needs to be like in a lot of stuff. It's unbelievable how they were able to kind of take you on this ride without knowing where you're going. And by the time you end up in the last 10 minutes of the movie, you are on the edge of your seat for a match that you've been watching the whole movie and didn't care about when it first started. And the way the movie ends is a couple spoilery things I want to talk about. So if you haven't seen Challengers, get the heck out of here because there are things to spoil. Then come back after. This is your spoiler warning. From now on, I will be talking about spoilers for Challengers. The non-linear aspect is so genius. And this is kind of where the Social Network stuff comes into play. Because if you remember in the Social Network, they start the movie completely linear, and then there's a certain moment where it jumps way into the future, and there's a deposition between the two characters who are best friends. And that kind of happens in this, but in reverse. You see Mike Feist and Josh O'Connor having this tennis match in the beginning, and it seems like they really don't like each other. And then it jumps to another tennis match. It's a close-up of Mike Feist giving a hand signal. It pulls back, and Josh O'Connor is his tennis partner, and they're best buds. And you go, oh no, something bad happened. Clearly has to do with Zendaya's character. There's another moment in the beginning of the movie where Mike Feist is about to go out to play in the U.S. Open, or I think it's the qualifying tournament before the Open, whatever. I'm not a huge tennis guy. You get it. And Zendaya sticks his hand out, and he spits his gum right into her hand. They go do their thing. You're like, oh, that's a cute moment that they do. And then in the middle of the movie, you see that Mike Feist used to do that with Josh O'Connor about midway through, and you go, oh my God, there's so many little things like that. And the moment of the movie, one of the top movie moments of the year, without question, it's going to stand the test of time for the year of our Lord 2024. Josh O'Connor starts dating Zendaya. Mike Feist wants to know if they slept together. And Josh O'Connor's like, I'm not telling you anything, dude. She'll kill me if I tell you. And he goes, all right, don't tell me. If you did, serve like me. Put the ball right in the neck of the racket. And he thinks about it, and he thinks about it, and he does it, and they laugh at each other. Ha, ha, ha. Fast forward, Mike Feist and Zendaya are married. They're playing in the final match. And right before they do, the night before, Zendaya and Josh O'Connor sleep with each other. And there's a moment where you lean forward and go, oh my God, he's gonna do the serve thing. And tell Mike Feist, I have chills right now, I slept with your wife last night. And they stretched that scene out for 5 minutes to the point where I was like, oh, he's actually not gonna do it. I'm a little disappointed. And when he finally does, and it cuts back to Mike Feist, and he goes, fuck off. It is so good. And then the way the movie ends is literally whiplash. Them two smiling at each other, battling it out for one last point, and Tashi finally gets her wish. She just wants to watch a good-ass tennis match between two of her former lovers at this point, because the way I took the ending was that they're both going to be like, you know what, peace, Tashi. They come to the center. Mike Feist jumps over the net. I'm pretty sure that means he loses if he touches the net. I don't know, tennis fans. You could tell me whatever. Doesn't matter. The point is they embrace. They laugh. Zendaya screams. Cut to credits. Cinema! Those moments are awesome. The tennis moment where he puts the ball. I mean, that's going to live in my head for a long time. For a long time to come. Zendaya's in my top 2 films of the year. Dune Part 2 and Challengers. Didn't think I was going to say that sentence once in my whole life. I mean, the Challengers part. I just didn't know. I didn't know that I would even see it, let alone it was going to be this good. But yeah, Challengers. It's awesome. Go freaking see it. If you're new to the channel, thank you for clicking on my face. Please be sure to subscribe. It is free after all, no charge to you. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.